Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 102 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today we're talking about actually one of my favorite topics because it's a core value of mine, continuous improvement and growth, of course, because they're kind of synonymous, right? If we're continually improving, we're growing automatically. In relationships, we're focusing on relationships this month as part of the 9-part life framework that I share all the time: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, communication, and confidence. We've covered confidence in February this year. We covered, that's not right. Yeah. Confidence in February. We started the year off with confidence. Then we rolled into communication. And this month we're covering relationships, all kinds of topics about relationships. And we're applying our SOAP framework for challenging areas in our relationships. And at the end of the month, we'll apply our ideance process, the process we came up with at the beginning of the year to help us to create what we want in each of these different areas and aspects of our life, to create the life that we want. So today we're talking about continuous improvement in relationships. And I'll talk about a couple of areas, and then I'll talk about 5 practices that you can totally sustain and use to create continuous improvement in relationships in your life, but in other areas of your life too. Who doesn't love a tool that can be used to improve your area in more than one area of your life? I sure do. I'm all about efficiency and effectiveness, and I want to do things that work, and I want to share tools with you, and then you have to decide if they work for you or not. What works for me may or may not work for you, and the only way you know is if you test it, try it out, tweak it a little bit, and then see how it makes you feel. If it feels right for you, then you keep doing it. If it doesn't, you stop doing it and you find something else. So what is the impact of continuous improvement and growth on our relationships? Well, it should be self-evident and it should make sense to us, but some things that are obvious don't make sense to us depending on what's going on in our life. So let's talk about a couple of examples. If someone in a relationship is growing and say they decide they're going to improve the way they handle their emotions, they're going to increase their emotional intelligence, that is going to give them the ability to respond instead of just reacting emotionally immediately. I could use some more practice on this one, I think, some days, especially with my granddaughters. But that will help to improve all of that person's relationships, because if I grow and become a better human being, I set the example for other people. I also behave differently in different circumstances, and all of that has a ripple effect throughout all of my relationships. Another example of applying this would be overcoming communication barriers, overcoming, say, a couple, think of a romantic relationship, a couple that doesn't communicate very well. If they increase their ability to communicate with one another, that's automatically going to grow the relationship. It's going to normally make the relationship better, unless, of course, they don't belong together, and then they'll figure that out faster too. So that is also growth and continuous improvement, even though it doesn't always feel like it. Probably one of the best things I ever did was get divorced, and it didn't necessarily seem like it at the time, but hindsight is a great teacher of lessons learned from the experiences that we've had in our life. And I have found that all of the bad things that I ever thought happened were the end of the world when they were happening, those have turned out to be the absolute best things that ever happened to me. Getting fired from a job in corporate America, best thing that ever happened to me. Now, did it feel like it at the time? No. But hindsight is, again, 2020, perfect vision and perfect understanding of past events that we can learn and grow from. Another growth practice for a couple, for example, would be to learn one another's love languages. Maybe this would have helped my marriage. I don't think so. But understanding what feels like love to another person, especially your romantic partner, is key, because a lot of times we don't speak the same language. Some people need words of affirmation. Some people need physical contact. Other people need visual confirmation. I can't remember what they all are now, but there's only 5 of them. I should know this. And we'll talk about it. I don't know if we talked about it in communication. Probably not, or it would be fresher in my memory. But that is a great book and a great tool for couples to read. It's a quick read, and then know, okay, well, this is why we're having challenges. What if I start to communicate in a way that makes sense to my partner and that feels right for them? You know, acts of kindness or acts of service. Kindness to me, I'm like, why are you serving if it isn't kind? I think that's probably mine. But depending on who your partner is, they might have a totally different love language, and that can cause conflicts. But if you learn and understand one another better, that will improve your relationships, which is a form of continuous improvement. Friendship relationships. There's a lot of ways to improve our friendship relationships. One of the things I've noticed is you can change the conversation by setting a good example. Say you have a friend that when you were in school, say you've been friends since high school. And when you're in high school, you used to gossip together and you used to make fun of other people. Never done that. Or name call or give people funny nicknames. Yes, I was guilty of that. I didn't know better. So over time, your relationship can improve by, instead of gossiping about other people, asking real questions for deeper connection about what's going on in your life. I guarantee you, who I was in high school and how I showed up was very different than who I was even as a college student, as a corporate professional, as a young mom. I guess I wasn't a young mom. I was an old mom. By anybody's standards, I was an old mother. That's why I'm an old grandmother. So switching the nature of the conversations and deepening the relationship comes from changing the conversations, right? And the communications that we have. We can also schedule meaningful time together. As our life goes through different stages, I don't know about you, but the vast majority of my friendships dropped off when I was raising my children. Why? Because we're so flippin' busy. I don't know about you, but I watch my daughter with her 2 little girls, and they're 2 and 4, and oh my gosh, they barely have time to breathe, but they still make time for their friends to come over and incorporate them into their family life. Their friends love their 2 daughters, and so it's really fun to watch and interact with that. But you have to do things like that if you want to maintain the friendship. And I will admit, I was not good at that, and part of that was because of my toxic relationship in my marriage. So we can schedule meaningful time together, and we have to make the most of our time together during those busy times of our life if we want to maintain those relationships and friendships. I'm going to save talking about business relationships and how critical and how we can use continuous improvement for those for Supersize Your Business. So if you want to know more about that, I invite you to listen into that video today as well. Otherwise, I go too long on these videos. I'm trying to keep them around 10 minutes or less so that we can do one thing every day to improve. So continuous improvement doesn't just impact us. When we grow and do personal development, it has a ripple effect on everyone that we interact with, and even sometimes the people we don't interact with, because indirectly we influence someone else and they influence another person. It's got a impact on our emotion, our romantic relationships, in that it helps us to have deeper intimacy and to know that we can trust and grow with the person that we're in a relationship with. In friendships, it increases authenticity and loyalty and the depth of those relationships. No, some of our friendships are just surface level, right? And that's okay. But I'm talking about the real friendships that we've had for years or maybe even decades that we want to hold on to. In families, it helps to heal and to build understanding. I don't know about you, but I have not been a perfect parent. I'm not a perfect grandparent. I wish I was. And I have never been a perfect parent. And it's really fun to hear from my kids, and sometimes it's painful, the impact that some of the behaviors I had when I was younger, when I was raising them, had on them. But it's healing because we know that, okay, we're all adults now. So yeah, I was doing the best I could at the time, but that wasn't good enough. And I didn't know it. And I appreciate that you told me the impact that it had on you now so that I can be better in the future. So what are 5 practices, sustainable practices, 5 tools and practices that you could use, just like brushing your teeth every day, to establish a practice of continuous improvement and growth in your life, and that especially with respect to your relationships? Number 1, practice reflective journaling. Journal, write it down. One of the best ways we can grow and become a better human being is by being more self-aware, knowing that we're human and we're going to make mistakes, but it's not the end of the world. We can improve and we can be better next time. Number 2, commit to lifelong learning. I don't know about you, but this is like one of my favorite things. I am always amazed at the people I come across sometimes that were awesome and knew so much and were the smartest kids in high school. But after high school, that's where they peaked and they never continued to learn and grow and become a better human being after that. Some of them have become better human beings, but some people, there's always those few people that just stopped growing, stopped learning, started to let other things and other entities think for them. Maybe it was their job, maybe it was the media, whatever it is, but they just stopped thinking for themselves and growing. I don't get that. I'm always curious about and looking for new things to learn. And that is one of the things. If you just develop the habit of being curious and being a lifelong learner, they say readers are leaders for a reason, because they're being exposed to more things. The more things that we are exposed to, and it doesn't mean we have to personally experience them in a positive way. I'm going to say in a positive way, the more it helps us grow. Number 3, set realistic goals. And set relationship goals. I was going to argue with realistic goals because I don't think our goals should be realistic. I think that we underestimate what we are capable of and that we should always be setting big, hairy, audacious goals that nobody else would think we could possibly achieve. That's where we should be setting our goals for continuous improvement and growth. But set relationship goals. Set relationship goals for, the different relationships in your life. And then grow intentionally in those relationships. Knowing that maybe the other person doesn't know they want to grow yet. And if you start growing and expanding, it'll set the example for them. Number 4, embrace feedback without defensiveness. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Feedback is such a powerful tool. Ask people, how am I doing? How's our relationship going in your mind? What can I do better? How can I serve? And how can we be better friends? How can we be better colleagues? How can I be a better partner? How can I be a better grandma? It's a biggie for me because I'm very vested in being a great grandma, because I don't want to make the mistakes I made with my kids. However, I see myself repeating some of them with my granddaughters. I just don't want to. And then again, number 5, like in everything else, celebrate what's working. Celebrate progress. Give yourself credit for growing, because some days we'll grow and we'll be awesome and do great. Other days, we're going to not do so great. We're going to not do well at all. We're going to totally fail and totally mess up. But we have to forgive ourselves from that and then understand, maybe do some journaling as to, what the heck? Why did that happen? Why did I lose it and raise my voice and scream at my little granddaughters? Normally it's because I fear for their safety. All right. So that's our topic for today, continuous improvement and growth. Our action item is today, I want you to pick one of these 5 things and commit to doing it going forward. I'd say commit to it going forward, especially with respect to your relationships and improving and growing them. Do it for you first and foremost, right? If you have not ever been on a track of lifelong learning or personal development, I invite you to jump on board and start becoming the best possible version of yourself, because that is the number one way you can make the world a better place. That's the number one way you can make the world a better place. It's the number one way I can make the world a better place, is by being a better human being, by being a better me, because I can't be anybody else. I can only be me, and you can only be you. So either reflective journaling, lifelong learning, set a relationship goal, embrace feedback without defensiveness, or celebrate progress. Pick and share in the comments below the one of those things that you're going to commit to doing from now on. All right, that's it. Any questions, hit me up and ask. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.